This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
This is Patrick Plywood McNeil, and you're listening to the Coarse Grind Podcast with Shawn.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 127. Maybe it's day 127 of being quarantined. I'm not sure yet. With you once again, host creator Shawn Rosler. How's everyone doing this evening? You know, my high school voice teacher once told me before I tried out for district chorus while I was trying to quell my nerves, she said, "Relax, honey. If you're nervous, that means you're taking it seriously, that you're prepared." And I've carried that quote through my life ever since, applying it whenever nerves made their way into my situation or performance, you get it. So when I say I'm taking tonight's guest as seriously as I have ever considered a guest, and that I'm as prepared as I could possibly be, well, deduce from that what you will. I'm taking deep breaths. Tonight's guest is nothing short of a living culinary legend and icon. When you speak the word celebrity chef, there's a veritable cornucopia that come to mind present day, but when you think OG, original, when you think of that status, this man's name should, and if it doesn't, by the end of this interview will, after tonight, enter your mind. Growing up in Jasper, Florida, local poultry, beef, sugarcane, fresh pecans, citrus, and more were important ingredients in his mother Addie Mae's recipes. These recipes would shape the chef he would become, from drop biscuits to what is considered world-class fried chicken, which I'm dying to try. That aside, a two-time James Beard Foundation Award winner, tonight's guest is a familiar face on the national food scene, with restaurants in Naples, Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. Television viewers know him from The Today Show, Barbecue Pitmasters, and Top Chef Masters. Add to this that he cooked for 2 Florida governors in Tallahassee and was Oprah Winfrey's personal chef for 10 years. I'm very prepared. I'm very serious. His achievements, his contributions, his very persona and soul tell everything there is to be said about this legend. And to call it an honor to speak to him this evening is nothing short of an understatement. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, without further ado, my guest this evening, celebrity chef, Epicurean icon, and living culinary legend, the one, the only, the inimitable Chef Art Smith. Chef, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, Shawn. With that intro, Lord Jesus, I'm old. I've been around a long time.
I know before mics went live, I was talking to Neil, because Neil was just on a panel show with me, and again, nothing but sweet things, positive things, and you just are. You're this ambassador to really what I think so many chefs talk about, heart and soul in cooking, but you're the embodiment of it. I really hold that to you. You're simply incredible, and you will not remember this, and I do not blame you. You're a busy guy. But year 1, I was in between like episodes 10 and 20, and I reached out and we connected on Twitter, and it fell through, and I'll never forget the loss I felt. It wasn't like losing a dog or something, like that, but I was like, God, if only I could talk to him again. And I found your Instagram feed, and you were just so gracious, and I can't thank you enough. So I'm going to stop gushing. The show's about you, not about me. So folks who are new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like myself, starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we're going to talk about where the guest has come from, what brought them to where they're at today. Mains, we'll talk about where they're at, what they're doing. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff. No one's been injured in 126 episodes, so I don't see it happening tonight. So without further ado, Chef Art Smith, can you please tell me about where and what you grew up eating?
Well, I grew up in a very rural town in northern Florida. In fact, that's where we live now. We moved. Our home base is really Chicago, but we but where I was born and bred, as you would say, right here in Jasper, Florida, which is on the Florida-Georgia line between Jacksonville and Tallahassee. No one ever thinks of it as Southern, but it is. And, we ate all these different foods that I'm known for. We didn't eat it every day. We were coastal. We were more the Piedmont, as they say in Virginia, type people. So our food is different. We eat a lot of rice, and so chicken was pretty common, and pork, but there's always some rice involved in it, and there was a definitely fine art of making biscuits. I mean, biscuits were a huge part of daily life, as well as there was always grits, and they weren't Aunt Jemima. They were locally stone ground coarse grits that, as we would call them, hominy grits, and locally hams that were cured. They do like a salted ham, very much like a Virginia ham, but very salted, and it's interesting, true Southern food. I mean, Ed Elizalde said this too, a great iconic doyen of Southern cooking. We eat a lot of vegetables. Now, the vegetables will have a tendency to be flavored with pork and stuff like that. And, but we eat a lot of vegetables, and we know all about peas. I swear Oprah Winfrey and I became beloved pea buddies because of my knowledge of peas. I remember I was doing a show with her when I first started. We met through the hairdresser because I was doing a party, and someone said, "That's Oprah's hairdresser," and I said, "Well, I need my hair done." But we became friends, and over through the hairdresser, and I remember he seems like the first thing he had me make was a little birthday thing for her, and I made her. He called it, make her a banana trifle. I'm like, you're just being fancy calling banana pudding banana trifle. But I remember I made the cake fresh, and I made the custard and everything. What was great about Oprah is that all this wonderful food that I loved and grew up on, I was able to. She loved showcasing it to her guests. Now, she didn't eat it every day, but we did it for guests. And I think that one of the greatest lessons is, and I think, I've had a lot of life experiences, and I've been to a lot of places, and I've trained with a lot of people, but you never, ever get too far from home. And home is what grounds you as a person. It grounds you as for your philosophical thinking. There's so much of what home has brought to you, and and it's still to this day, even though like I've been to about every country in the world, and from the Arctic to the South Africa, you name the places, and recently in the Middle East, it still is something that is very much a part of my soul and being, and something that guests, people that I meet are, they notice it, they're like, well, where are you from? And I'm like, well, this is what I tell them. And it's always been a challenge to really convince people that my part of the South is Southern, but it is. And, but it was a wonderful life, and, church suppers, which were really the best place to have the best food. Or it was the Lions Club having a fish fry, and which you don't seem to have as much like you used to, or they're, but, and then when the gardens came in, there's nothing better than, fried green tomatoes and other great vegetables and stuff. But it's, I learned, when I wasn't supposed to be a chef, I was supposed to be a piano player. And the reason why that was is because my father, his love was the family farm. And at the time when I was a little kid, I could care less about that because I was like, I don't want to work. And, and every season there was a crop that had to be harvested. And in the fall, it was pecans. And I had a pet pig. I had taught how to eat them so I didn't have to pick them up. And they what was that? I think it was Petunia, the name of my pig. But anyway, and it was like, but then I figured out how I could wet them so they'd weigh more, because he would literally pick them up and hold them. Said, "You ain't picked up enough." I'm like, And then we roll into tobacco season. And Daddy was funny. He was like, son, it's okay to grow it, but it's not okay to smoke it. And I'm thinking like, I mean, we grew some pretty tobacco, but it was, it was just, and he said, well, you ain't going to work. You're going to have to go and cook. You're going to, for us, when we come from the field, or you're going to go learn to play the piano for your grandfather. Because my grandfather was he was the city manager of Jasper, and he was all about keeping everything in check with the infrastructure, from the water, the sewage, and all that. He was a medic in the Army, but he was very precise. But his love for the farm was like my love. He's like, you're just going to waste your time and money, and there's no money in it. And so he was not happy with my father getting back into that. He thought he was just going to lose his ass. But I was able to kind of glue the two together by the fact that I finally have a grandson that plays the piano in the church, and they thought that was bee's knees, okay? But the great thing about it was that learning to play the piano, and talk about having your voice teacher telling you about, having that fear and that fright.
Yes.
I had stage fright from day one.
Yes.
But, the funny thing about it was, it's like, the greatest thing that you learn in performing, and you know this, is that what you learn is that you don't go bad. You keep going.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It sounds like there's an earthquake. It's my son with his big feet. We live in a 1900 Victorian house, and the house just shakes when he walks up through it. But,
anyway,
I
feel your pain.
But anyway, they, it's just so, if you hear noises, there's no earthquake. But anyway, it was something that was always with me. But the funny thing about it is that I'd had these pretty bad, like stage fright situations, and but I always had a backup plan. Mm-hmm. And it was the 70s, and I loved I think it was, the movie was The Entertainer or Ragtime, one of them. Mm-hmm. And it was a movie, I think Clint Eastwood was in it, and it was where it's where Scott Joplin's music really just came out like very popular in The Entertainer. Well, anyway, I could play, and the great thing about that kind of music was it's played on like an old honky-tonk piano out of tune, you know what I mean? Because, every juke joint always had these pianos that were all like half out of tune, but they had the most amazing sound.
Exactly. And
to get that wonderful sound, you have to have a piano like that. And trying to reproduce Scott Joplin on a Steinway, it's some fluffy recital place that wherever it was, I had to do it with a challenge, but I would make it talk. But that was always my backup plan. I said, well, they want me to be playing Fur Elise. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to play Scott Joplin.
Oh my God. Wow. Yes.
My piano teacher would just kind of roll her eyes, and my mother would just smile. And they asked us, said, like, kind of change the program. I said, well, the show goes on, I do that really well. So I'm going to play what I do really well. And that's just how it was. And, and that's kind of how I've been. It's like, I believe the fact that you should have a backup plan. You should have a parachute.
That's right.
Because the fact is, everything ain't going to work out. So you have to be prepared for that situation.
Oh.
Like, look at us now. I'm thinking like, okay, Art, what's your backup plan? What you doing? So many of us in the whole restaurant and hospitality community are suffering so greatly, and my heart goes out tremendously to them. But I have to tell you, it just you just have to, and I have to say, sitting around this house trying to figure out, okay, I'm trying to be super dad, which I'm about to my last nerve on that one. And I'm not, and I love gardens, but I'm not the type of person going to go out there and garden. I love it. Mm-hmm. And we have more chickens than Prue do. I mean, we don't eat ours. They're just lawn ornaments, and and they keep having lots. I mean, I think we got about 50 new chicks out there, and
wow.
you know, we had a rat snake out there that was taking out a few every night. And I was thinking, well, there's a less snake. You know, we're like the St. Francis of Assisi of gardens here. You know, we don't kill anything. You know, like you know, so and then you know, so we have been feeding the owls and the hawks and other creatures so they can have a meal. You know, because we've lost a chicken, no big deal. We got 20 more to place out with, but
So your parachute now is a zoo, is what I'm hearing. You got kind of a backyard zoo going on.
It is. And I said, worst comes to worst, we could actually eat them, but we haven't done much of that. We have really wonderful eggs. I made tonight. I was like, you know, it's like one of the things I've been doing to kind of preoccupy my time is you know, it's hell being a chef. First of all, you work your ass off, and the other part is that you know, you're so tired all the time, so you kind of, you know, you either drink booze or you eat, and and I most of my life I've worked in personal and private situations where I just had to behave,
right,
you know. But when I got out of that and I became my own boss, I was like, I don't give a rat's ass. I'm gonna drink vodka, okay?
Yeah. Oh my God, I need.
This is my damn bar. I'm gonna drink some vodka. And,
Beautiful.
And you know, I just kind of like, you know, just let it all go, and I just let my bear show out. I mean, I was like, you know, it was like, you know, for, you know, like I'm just gonna be a bear, and you know, and quite honest with you, on top when I did that first Top Chef Master, I was bigger than the TV set. There was a lot of it. Okay.
Yes.
And boy, people love that. Oh, well, I'm telling you, but popularity zoomed. You know, and I actually got a show. And then I lost it because I got skinny. Yeah. And
imagine the nerve of you to do that.
They wanted this big, large man that ate everything inside. And I'm like going, I don't want to do that no more. But so I went, so, you know, and then I was supposed to do a cooking show with this big, beautiful, soulful, lovely woman singer, famous singer. And so I got smaller than her. And then that fell through, and then I'm like, and then the bear came back out, and then, you know, so every time I have like a little, you know, the toughest part about being a celebrity chef is you sit there and think about it. You think, okay, what exactly is that? What's that mean? And okay, if you think about it, you think, okay, what does that be a celebrity chef, and how do you keep that celebrity? I mean, like, to me, I'm oblivious to it a lot of times. I'm just I don't pay no attention, but then I know what I like about it. I like it enables me. It's not the fact that I feel like I get extra treat. I like the fact that it helps me to help others. Okay.
Yes.
And so Kate staying current and doing things that really does amazing things. So anyway, to tell you what I did. Well, I decided that I was just gonna you know, I'm like, you know, aren't you turning 60? When I turned 50, I did the same thing. I said, turning 50, you got to get better. So, you know, I ran marathons at 50 and did this and did that. Won a beard and blah, 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 and all that stuff, and then wrote a book, blah, blah, blah. I'm
sorry. Won a beard and blah, blah, blah. There's very few people who would say that, and I love you for that. Go ahead.
Well, you know, it was really great because, you know, we won for something that we believed in for many years. 15 years, we focused on teaching kids how to cook free. And I want to tell you something. Yes, it's free to the kids, but it's not free for us. I mean, it's expensive, and it's a lot of money. And our last big coup, we opened, I think, with the city of New York, 150 locations in Brooklyn, which was just amazing. And we're in about 6 or 7 states now. And but I have a wonderful woman, Linda Novick O'Keefe, who, you know, came to me after I bought a church for Jesus. You know, I live with Jesus, the Venezuelan one. And he wanted a church. I just like, Lord Jesus, God, they're going to think I'm totally insane. He's married to Jesus, and he wants a church. I mean, but, you know, that just adds to the allure of being a celebrity chef. He said, but it's so funny, Rocco DeSpirito, I would say, blah, 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 Jesus and I love you. And forever he thought I was talking about the other Jesus. It's so funny. And Rocco would just laugh, and then we'd laugh at them. But anyway,
that's great.
So when I turned 60, March 1st, which, as you know, we're at the cusp, or just at the cusp of this whole pandemic pandemic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, I got to do something. So about several months before, I love Instagram. I think Instagram brings us all closer together, even more than Facebook.
Same. I agree.
Don't know what it is, but it works. Okay. And this young rugby player from Argentina reached out to me and said, man, I like you and I like what you're doing. And if you ever need some help. And so I said, that would be great. I said, one of my best friends is a champion rugby player named Dan Cohen, who I adore greatly, who I worked with for quality and stuff. And I love rugby. I love that big rough kind of like, like let's just beat each other's ass.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
I love that. You know what I mean? So anyway, Lucas shows up, and my other guy who got 100 pounds off of me was Australian, but so I realized that, Lord Jesus, I got myself an Argentinian, Az Ferguson. Az was Mr. Australia, and
holy shit,
just the most precious, most beautiful man. He showed up at the door. My agent, creative artist, sent him because I said, I need a trainer. And so he got that 100 pounds off of me, which was I just totally changed my life.
Nice.
And then everybody like, you too skinny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, Lucas Cancelier, pro rugby player, can you believe he came from Buenos Aires, Argentina to Jasper, Florida? Can you believe that?
Holy shit.
And so he came, and he said, okay, let's start this way. So we started, there used to be, when I was a kid, there was a train that ran right through downtown, and we lived very common in rural towns and in America. The trains would go through the towns, and these big old houses would be facing the railroad track. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And
absolutely.
every time the train come by, the house would shake.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The windows shake and everything. It was a wonderful sound. I remember Ringling Brothers and Barmaid circus train would come through here. So anyway, they took University of Florida had a great community development program where they took up the old tracks and they converted it to a wonderful running path. And so it has become like that's my gym. And so I go out there wee hours and I jog, I walk, I jog, I walk. And when I started, I'm gonna tell you something. There were a lot of me. I let it go again. But with Lucas's guidance, I've lost over 50 pounds.
Yes.
It's my goal was just us chefs. We, God bless it. We don't really have a long lifespan. So I'm trying to increase my lifespan. And,
absolutely. And I mean, sponsorship shows, all that stuff be damned. I mean, at the end of the day, chef, you're who you go home to. You're it. You're all you got.
Exactly. And my little kids are so precious. They said, "Poppy, you lost a pillow."
That's sweet.
Because when they love laying on my stomach and everything, but it was like. But it was like, and the customers, they loved, this funny little jolly, honey, I look like Santa Claus. You know what I mean? I remember I went to Beijing, China, and the Chinese were like rubbing my stomach. I said, I ain't gonna grant you a wish.
Yeah.
I didn't luck either. So like, get away.
Exactly.
But,
no, I know. Honestly, doing my homework for the episode, chef, I mean, you're no stranger to me, and I think going back to that celebrity chef point, I think there's a way that we who appreciate the culinary things, like I now because of this show, because of all of you helping me, I get to go out and I cook demo kitchens for like inner city kids who come to the area. I'm doing that because of the inspiration. So like I think celebrity is a little different for each of us. And, unfortunately, I think so many people associated Art Smith with, the roly-poly bear, like, jolly Southern cook.
Right.
Whereas,
True.
like, when I saw you do that change on Top Chef and I saw you, I stood up, I clapped my hands, I said, goddamn right. Because, like, that's what I've seen even people on this show, like, go through. Like, it's crazy. So I'm so glad that you're finding that again. And I hope that there's no one.
You gotta find you happy.
Yes.
You gotta find your joy.
Damn
and,
straight.
I was telling my CFO, I said, I don't know what it takes, I said, when we get back, I said, I have to have a Lucas full time with me because, I do know that if I don't have someone watching me and just that it'll come right back.
Yep.
I was telling Lucas, I said, this, I keep it off about 4 or 5 years and then we all have our own anxiety and our angst and all that stuff. I grew up with a wonderful father, but was severely handicapped with bipolar disorder. And, but I'm more manic, you know what I mean, where I work my ass off all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's, and let's face it, being a chef, you have to deal with so much emotional stuff. And, you don't have a normal family life. And then if you're a loving, caring chef, you care about your team, you're worried about them and they have their marital problems and this and that and whatever. And it's, honey, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes on that plate when you're feeding people. I mean, a lot.
Yes.
And it's just, because it can look all pretty. It can look real pretty, but we know truly behind the scenes, it ain't pretty. Okay? It's a lot of work.
1,000%. And again, to go back to this platform, again, five plus years in, it's really been my, when it started out, I didn't know what I was doing with it. And then I started to slowly find, I'm telling this story from behind the pass that nobody sees. Everybody sees the pretty plate. Everyone sees the frilly shit. No one sees what drove Bourdain to do what he did. Nobody sees who goes home and cries at night. Like, nobody sees that side of it where all they want is a happy you when they give you that plate. Like, there's stories right up until the end of how, all Bourdain wanted to do, he'd watch your face intently right up until the very end when he gave you a plate. Now, he had no reason to give a shit whether or not I liked it. But
no.
Yeah.
My dear beloved late friend Charlie Trotter. God, he was in talent. Charlie. Oh my God. And what I loved about Charlie, I had moved to Chicago in 89. And I remember walking down Armitage Avenue and I see this building and this friend says to me, that's the best restaurant in America. I said, is it? And I look on the menu and I see salmon with oxtail. I'm like, what a strange combination.
Right.
And of course that was one of his hallmarks, But then what happened? I met a lovely man who loved me and would take me to dinner. Mm-hmm. And really sweet man, Don Newcomb, and he loved taking me to dinner and showing me what great food was about. I had worked for governors and all that. I mean, we know this. Politicians do not eat good food, okay? None of them do, okay? I don't care who they are, okay? All right? I've cooked for all of them. One like Campbell soup and which nothing wrong with it, tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich, okay? And so anyway, but to truly understand what real food was, and I had a wonderful mentor who, she, when I worked for her at the governor's house, she said, no, we don't want any of that hotel-y food. We want real food. And she taught me about being proud of a good casserole or being proud of a wonderful, beautiful baked cake or, those types of things, which now are just, I'm huge. I do them a lot. But anyway, it was really amazing. I befriended him. I think it was when we first really became good friends I started working on like Meals on Wheels when that was really huge, and they had the card set. But also, there was this bad flood in Mississippi. Remember when the Mississippi River flooded real badly? Mm-hmm. And Charlie did a flood relief. And I helped, and I worked for Martha Stewart, so I was pretty good at flowers. I mean, I don't know. Strangers, he loved that. Whether it was kids off the street or he loved feeding people, because I think what it was, he had so much bullshit from reviewers and all kinds of people and all these rich ass people that want to show up his restaurant who flew whatever to get there. I think he craved honesty.
Yes.
He craved that just purity of honesty. And so we became friends. And, I never actually worked for him, but he treated me beautifully. And then when I worked for Oprah, we had him on the show. And, for my birthday, he cooked for me. I mean, it was just really wonderful. But the point I was trying to make is that he put so much blood, sweat, and tears in that food, that beautiful, delicious, complicated food.
Yeah.
And, the thing about it is, his crew were like, holy hell, this demon. But now, everyone who was actually touched by that great man realized, like, he was so ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And he taught, we would not have food in Chicago like we do if it wasn't for Charlie Trotter.
No, Charlie, I think you could probably reach beyond Chicago, honestly, with his influence.
Exactly, in America.
Holy shit.
And, he saved the Beard House. He did so much stuff with them.
Yep.
But, John Bunche and some of these other great, there was that, Playboy magazine, the Playboy Club and all that, and those people brought in these French chefs, they're still there. They're amazing, and Bunche, all of those bunch, but an American chef, new American cuisine, there was nothing like Charlie Trotter.
Yep.
And Charlie was amazing. I mean, he had worked for everybody. And what I loved about Charlie too is that, and this is where you can really judge people, it's like when I go out in public and, they say, how art is so good, blah, 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 blah. And then they just totally blow off Jesus or whoever else I'm with. And I'm thinking like, And what I loved about Charlie is Charlie introduced you to everybody. And Charlie loved Jesus. In fact, Jesus and him were like really good friends. And Jesus, I'd be working at the restaurant. Jesus go over to Charlie's house and Charlie cook for him. It was like, he was just so incredibly sweet and wonderful. And he truly inspired me what it was like, just a glimmer of what it was like to be a super chef. Because he was a super chef.
Yeah.
And I still, I miss him greatly.
Sure.
But,
Sure. I mean, he was celebrity status before, I think, celebrity chef. Well, I don't know. I think you could say the celebrity chef began with Julia, but how close was Charlie to really? I don't know, bearing that torch as well. It's such an odd term, but like I would consider in my layperson status, Charlie Trotter's an absolute, celebrity. But I don't know. I don't know if everyone would.
Right. Exactly. I'm there.
Yep. No, but I mean, he sounds absolutely incredible. Bottom line.
But anyway, he was an amazing man, and
sure.
And I love him, and taught me a lot of great things.
That's awesome.
And I hope that we at the end of the day that hope that people. We all want to be remembered, but we be remembered that we did contribute in a way that helped make life be, like a little bit of hummingbird cake, a little fried chicken made me happy, and made my family happy, and and you taught my kid how to cook, and all those things, and my greatest wish is that my children will see that food and a little love is big magic, and you can do a lot of great things.
Oh. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that was the first thing I did. I know we were joking before that, I've got 3 boys, so like, what hair I have is coming out slowly but surely. And, the first thing I did with my oldest was put a 7-inch chef knife in his hand and say, here, mince this garlic, and he looked at me scared. And my wife was like, what are you doing? Take that out of his hand. I'm like, no, come here. I'm going to go hand over hand with you. And, now I can't get him out of the kitchen, chef.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. My oldest is like that, really nice. He wants to be a lot like me. I just, one of the things, the toughest thing is teaching them is how disciplined you have to be a great chef.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you've got the knowledge base already of, what that entails. And I mean, you said being a chef is hell. It's like, do you want to lead them down that road? Well, if their heart is in it and their head is in it, why not? But, there's definite, that lack of understanding of what you all go through during the day, at the end of the day, between the days, budgeting, ordering, all this stuff goes into it, and people forget that's part of it. They just think it's like a drive-through, right. But I just show up and I sit my ass in a comfy chair, and I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Very true.
You framed it perfect, though. So okay, as a northern guy, and I'm, Pennsylvania, born and bred, I've been introduced to several southern offerings, and I've got to pick your brain a little bit, because, you are literally probably the authority in the world today. I'm just going to give you that title. Biscuits and grits. Now, we up north know a biscuit as maybe something that you get in a drive-thru from McDonald's, maybe at a Cracker Barrel if you're feeling fancy and you put sausage gravy over top. Please educate everybody who's listening from my hometown and beyond on what a biscuit should be.
Biscuits are not necessarily Southern. Biscuits are rural America, because rural America did not have bakeries. They made their own bread, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they made quick breads because they didn't have yeast and stuff. And, biscuit is simple. It's flour, it's butter, it's baking powder. My grandmother made hers with clabbered milk, but basically milk that was soured that she used, and in those days, I think it had culture in it. But it's and it's a quick bread that's baked very, it's made very gently, and then it's just put in a really hot oven, and then and so I have to tell you, if you got a Hardee's nearby, they make some of the best biscuits that you can get.
Don't do that to me. Is that true? That's true?
It's true.
Oh, God.
It is true, and they make them from scratch, and they're great. But don't eat those other ones. Those other ones are like, I actually read that in a big review that they were the best. But, the thing is this, and this is where I come back to my health and stuff. If it ain't homemade, it ain't worth eating.
Ooh,
okay,
ooh.
So,
do you have that on a shirt yet, please? And if you don't, can I steal it?
You can steal it, but it's true.
If it ain't homemade?
Don't be putting it in your mouth if it ain't homemade, okay? I will tell you something. It's just not, like, what do you do for a man that helped you lose 50 pounds? And he says, I am craving cheesecake. Well, you make a cheesecake. And we made a delicious cheesecake tonight from a recipe from Spain, and I was trying really hard not to pretend like I know all about cheesecake. We did, and it was delicious. But, I'd be buying one of those bulk cheesecakes, and what it tastes like. You know what I mean? It's just, there's nothing. There's
no
nothing
soul.
more
There's no soul to it.
And then the funny thing about it is my oven went out, so I went to Walmart and got this it's an Oster like countertop toaster oven thing, which is like was $150. But honey, we have made croissants in it. We have baked all kinds of delicious cakes, it works like a jewel. I mean, oh my God, I was thinking like, I love this thing, and I think about, like people in parts of the world, that's all they have to actually bake in is one of those countertop ovens.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it's effort to bake things from scratch, but when it's made from scratch, it tastes absolutely delicious. Like I said, in the North, I mean, there's, with the way have happened through culturally. The food has traveled throughout the country. So you go to Chicago and you got a lot of people that are from Mississippi, and you got a lot of Southern food up there. It's everywhere, but there's good fried chicken all over America, not just the South. And and the great thing about Southern food is wherever it lands, it takes on the flavor of where it is. And,
that's a great point. That's a really great point. I like that. Like it's interesting. The reason why New Orleans has such an incredible food culture is because that it has this. It's just a melting pot of all different cultures. And so, the Italian is very unique. I saw this in Rome with Chinese food. I mean, it's like wherever food travels to, it does take on. And, it's interesting. Like the other day, I've been doing these virtual cooking classes and stuff. And so I saw those.
I did my mother's, you can see it on, IGTV. Is that right? IG, which I don't. What is that you call it? Where you can tape it? What's it called? IG, Instagram TV.
Yeah, IGTV.
Yeah. I did chicken and dumplings. And my mother was the queen of chicken and dumplings. But the way she made hers are very elegant. Like, she had a broth. And what I did, just so, because people are lazy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used I bought broth, and I bought a rotisserie chicken and took it off the bone, which I did that. And then I made the dumplings from scratch. The way my mother made dumplings, it was like pappardelle.
Oh.
And it was really delicious. And you have to watch it. You'll see it. And there is definitely an art to it.
Yes.
And I think the mistake for foods that come from the home, I mean, I want to tell you something. Me being a chef and everything, I got made fun of all the time. Said, you and your housewifey food. But now I'm the one laughing because they realize that the comfort food is, how long has comfort food been in vogue now? Think how many years, 20, 30 years?
Exactly.
The thing, always our world has drama. People are going to be gravitate towards comfort. It just tastes better. But anyway, I made it, and it's just really, really delicious. Yesterday I showed people how to make fried chicken, but I also showed them how to do it unfried in the oven, which is good.
Oh. Well, my wife has fried chicken on the docket for this weekend, and there's shortening in the pantry, and there's paper bags down below, so I know what's going on.
That's great. But the key to really good home cooking is not to be sloppy with it.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. When it gets sloppy, then it gets messy.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
But anyway, you just got to be careful with it. If you're careful with it, it'll be the best thing, but it's just really, and that was like, Edna Lewis, that's what she was able to do, is that she cooked a lot of home foods, but she did them beautifully, where she made her jams, and like, she made her own baking powder. She would never, because she said it had too much aluminum in it. And then, she just did everything from scratch. And, and she loved, and she was, and I learned a lot from her, and then her protege Scott Peacock, who's talk about a man that can make a biscuit. Now he's the one you should do an interview with. You'd love him, but that man does everything about a biscuit. Now, and he, it was so funny. We were doing this thing. I was telling you about how Oprah and I bonded over a pea.
Yes.
Well, what happened was I would do the book club, and a book author, Ernest Gaines, he wrote the Diary of Miss Jane Pittman. Mm-hmm. He wrote a book, A Lesson Before Dying. That was a great bestseller. Mm-hmm. And we were in Louisiana shooting it, and I wanted to do this authentic, very kind of rural country dinner and stuff. And so I brought crowder peas, I packed them in a suitcase and shelled them in my hotel room for Oprah. And then Scott came and brought stuff, but this is a funny thing. I wanted to make, I have a really wonderful lemon pound cake at my grandmother's. And I looked at, and they're cooking in the kitchen with him. I said to Scott, because I had invited him to help me. This is so funny. I said, Scott, you see any Crisco? I said, she don't live here no more.
Oh.
That's
fight words.
I'm going like, she don't live here no more. Okay. All right. I'm going like, I said, you. It was so funny. I said, well, she lives in my house, and she's quite happy. Okay. So you go to your house without your Crisco. But I mean, but I still laugh over there. She don't live here no more.
She don't live here no more.
But even Julia Child would take a little bit of vegetable shortening and butter and put it in her pie crust. I mean, really, she was notorious for that. I love Julia. I got to meet Julia in her later life. Oh. Oprah had bought this beautiful estate in Montecito, which I didn't know at the time. She was right down the street from Julia Child. And so Julia Child and I became friends over these rose farmers. And I remember I made a tomato pie for her, and she loved it. Someone asked me the other day to make a tomato pie. I take like, we love little bits of this. Like I call it Southern antipasti, but a very famous little Southern thing to have with like a whiskey or something is a cheese straw. So I take that same dough and make a crust with it. And then I take really good little tomatoes. You ever notice how like the little tomatoes have the best, sweetest flavor? Like in Italy, they make great sauces with them. But I do the filling with those, but I do them very gently, and then I put a little fresh herbs, and I do a lettuce, and honey, God, please, Jesus, Joseph, it is like the bomb. And oh my God, I mean, her and Michelle Obama like go crazy over it. And I haven't made it in a while, and you have to make it in a springform pan and do it thin because it's crispy and beautiful and delicious. But I made one for Julia, and she was just so adorable. She was like, that is delicious. But she, like I said, we became friends over tomato pie. But
that's fantastic.
She was a sweetheart. But you know, life's been beautiful and sweet, and it all started with a biscuit.
That's it.
I just, you know,
That's
and
it. Oh.
my recommendation, you know, these young chefs is that, you know, make sure you got your social media together, because there'll be a day, and I strongly do believe this, the day's already here. You know, when you go start looking for money, people are going to look at who follows you, and who follows you is going to be like, now, how many people are going to come to your...
So, but no, you know, people who follow the chefs on Instagram, you know, that's pretty much going to be the metric of their ability, their worth, etc.
And right, and then you got to have a shtick. You got to have what do you want to be known for?
Yep.
And whatever you're known for, be good at it. And then got to be patient.
Yep.
Not everybody can run a restaurant at 18. Everybody can win a James Beard at 18. Just be patient.
Yep.
Be patient.
Just a matter of waiting.
And understand. Yeah, and you know, it's like, you know, the problem that we were having where nobody wanted to work the line. You know what I mean? The reality is, because we know the things through what we've gone through now, we all know that the way we look at life and things is going to be totally different. It's going to be a different world. Yeah. But the reality is, the thing that we must understand too, when it comes to food, everybody got to eat. Everybody got to eat. Yep. And just remember that it is going to, it's going to have, you know, it's people are going to eat. We just have to think of creative ways to feed people and do it efficiently, affordably, and unfortunately, the days of big giant meals and lots of staff, they're going to still be that, but not as many, you know, and no, we hate fast food, and well, think of ways that we can create food of the quality that we were creating, but getting it to people in a way where it can be carried out or just something quicker. I mean, I just truly believe that is the future at present.
Well, and that was actually going to be, you know, my question: is this the death knell of fine dining?
No, there's always going to be, you know, it's like I think when Mount Vesuvius was erupting in Pompeii, where they were all still just having fun and frolic and eating like,
it's a hell of an analogy, Art. Jesus.
You know, I kind of feel like Mount Vesuvius has been blowing, you know, and God bless. It's been, you know, honey, you know, I'll be honest with you. It's just, if you sit there and read everything, it becomes your narrative of the day, and you can just sit and cry all day. Yeah. I mean, it is truly sad, the loss of life and everything. But the only way we have a future, and the only way we can keep our children just to know a future is that we have to put on a happy face. And that's the toughest thing. Is, you know, they really don't understand what's going on, particularly for my children, because we're in a rural area. But the reality is, we have to keep a happy face, and we have to continue. And the reality is, there are going to be people. There are going to still be people that are going to want fine dining. There'll be few of them. Yeah. And probably the ones that have been at it the longest.
Because their reputation will carry them through for sure.
But is there are we going to have a resurgence? Are we going to have a new fine dining? No, not going to happen. You know, not unless they have really, really deep pockets. I also think that my old profession is going to blossom, because I think when I was a personal chef, I mean, trying to find people to do my job was like, forget it. Right. But now, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be at home and have their own chef.
Yep. No, that's really true. So, that's a great point right there. You know. Yeah,
I think that if you got a lot of money and you got means, you're going to have somebody cook for you, because you're going to want to be in charge of the cleanliness of where your food is being prepared and everything. And
that's a great point. I didn't, in my layperson status, that wasn't something I thought of as like a determinant, but goddamn, if that's not absolutely true. Yeah.
There are going to be more germaphobes, more people conscious about it than ever.
Yeah. Howie Mandel's going to have a field day with this. He's going to be laughing at everybody. Howie Mandel's an OCD hand washer. So.
Yeah, I know. He's totally germaphobe, but I'm sure he's, they're going to, I was having a major discussion about some of my properties. I said, don't be surprised if we do cups with lids on them for our drinks and stuff, because no one's going to want.
No one wants that
drink.
Yeah, I mean, it's the new normal.
Open.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 100% new normal, and we have to be okay. And I mean, honestly, could we have done a little better with it? I don't know, maybe, but like, it's going to be heavy. It's going to look different, and people have to be okay with that. But like you said, Art, it's all going to be okay. It's just going to look a little different.
It's just, I think the thing that I think is just so shocking for us is that how could something like this happen? Yeah. And the reality is that, as advanced as we think we are in the technology and everything, it's still, it's nature.
We're not shit compared to Mother Nature. That's the point. She's coming, buddy. We can't do anything about it.
And historically, there's always been something like this throughout the history of mankind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's always been something.
Can't do anything.
I mean, my great-grandmother died of the Great Flu Pandemic. I mean, so,
mm-hmm.
And how, all of those things, and my grandmother was part with the polio pandemic. And, there was all these different ones and stuff. But I think we thought, like, because we're so advanced that nothing like this could ever happen again. Well, you know what? The wake-up is now, yes, it can, and it can happen again, and it can be worse.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do due diligence to really focus on making sure that everything, I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I was telling them about our restaurant, said they're going to be steam cleaned every night. Everything.
Yep. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? At this point,
right. How
can you not consider that as an option?
Right. Well, yeah. But it's very true.
For sure. Well, okay. I mean, we know what's going on. We don't have to, we could drag each other down for sure, because I'm watching the same news. I'm sure you're watching, and it's rough. I got to ask you one more Northerner question. And
right.
I have a little bit of inside knowledge on this that you might be proud of me for. So grits.
Okay.
I'm a big fan. And I'm a big fan of not just these instant nonsense grits. I've been introduced to Geechee Boy grits, and my wife made
they're wonderful.
My wife made me shrimp and grits with Geechee Boy. Special order on Amazon. I get them in the, I think it's like $20 for 2 little bags. I looked at her, I said, what the hell is this about? She's like, you sit down and listen. And not a week later, I had Justin Sutherland on, who was just on Top Chef. He was on the Kentucky season. And he recommended me Geechee Boy grits. And I'm like, okay.
You know what you got to try?
What's that?
You got to have rice grits.
Rice grits?
Yeah, it's crushed rice, and you cook them like grits. Amazing.
What? All right, I'm writing down rice grits.
Rice grits. Get them. You will be shocked how delicious they are.
That's
and for people that don't like corn grits, they'll love rice grits because they're lighter, and they're absolutely delicious.
So, I mean, what do I do if I like corn grits? Is it okay to have both? Am I a traitor to one?
It's okay to have both, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
And I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I grew up with cheese grits and all that stuff. Hell with that. I just like grits. Okay?
Just straight grits.
I don't like all that stuff in them, no.
No.
I like them simple.
So
and don't be putting no sugar on them either.
No, I've seen that, and I question that because, like, the fact that grits are right next to oatmeal in the cereal aisle bothers me. It, really bothers me. I don't get why you would place it there. And then I watch people do that, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. I hate you for it, but I get it. It's fine. No sugar on the grits. So what is simple grits to Chef Art Smith? So what is simple grits for Chef Art Smith?
Just water and salt and cooked very nice. So that's it. Very simple.
Keep it simple.
Probably to 3 to 4 cups of water, 1 cup of grits. Okay?
Beautiful. 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 So, we've covered all the world affairs. We've covered the difference between the North and South. I think the only thing left in the holster is a couple afters. Chef Art Smith, I'm standing in your kitchen and we're cooking together. What music are you playing?
Well, the other day, I love classical guitar, Otmar Liebert.
Love it. Love it. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Here's the next question. Theoretical, but go with me. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only bring 3 foods or food-type items with you. What would they be and why? Inexhaustible supplies, by the way. Through the magic of magic, they recreate themselves every day. What would they be?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably have me some eggs and grits.
Wow, I love it. Eggs, grits, and you got one more if you want it.
Probably some really good apple smoked bacon or kind of cured bacon, something like that.
Perfect. If you got the notice, your ticket's getting punched the next day. What's your last supper today? Your last meal?
Well, my last supper, I would probably, if it were me, I'd have my family's chicken and dumpling soup. That's probably what I'd have.
Fantastic. And I have to ask, chicken and dumplings down south, chicken pot pie.
We don't put biscuits in ours.
Chicken pot pie here in Pennsylvania Dutch country. When you said
delicious.
before it's more cut like a noodle, it sounds kind of similar.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's some similarity because in the Amish country they do noodles with beef and stuff. Yeah, I understand that. Perfect. And finally, Chef Art Smith, the simplest question and yet the most complex. What is food to you in a single word? What is food to me in a single word? Love.
Love it. I would expect nothing different from you, honestly. And actually leading up to today, I was thinking, I'm like, I will bet myself $20, which does nothing. I get it. That Art Smith is going to answer love.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful, and thank you.
Yes, thank you
and
so much.
I can't believe my children have been so quiet. But thank you so much.
It must be my parenting style. Art Bird Whiskey Bar, Grand Central, Homecomin Kitchen.
New door kitchen in the garden.
Love it.
And we're in Chicago, and we're in Southern Art and Atlanta, and then Homecomin in Walt Disney World at Disney Springs. And of course, if you go to a Live Nation concert, you're going to find Art Bird at one of those. You can probably have yourself a great fried chicken sandwich.
Damn straight.
So y'all have a good night. It's been a truly pleasure. Okay?
Oh, fantastic. Chef Art Smith, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 127 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, Chef Art Smith, of course. Our producer has been Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Next episode, we're going to take it back to Top Chefs. Stay tuned. Are you passing through Central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.